if we talk about the earliest sites on the territory of Europe, we cannot mention Korolevo site. Is a multi-layered site on the territory of Transcarpathia. Korolevo site was found in 1974 by prominent Ukrainian scholar Vladislav Gladilin. And today we have a talk with scientific researcher of Archaeological Museum, National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, Vitalii Usik. Vitaly, what you can tell us about the stratigraphy and the earliest stage of occupation of this cape?
First, I would like to tell why people came here so early and why we have so long stratigraphy and archaeological sequence on the same place between 1 million years ago and 40,000. The best place to show it's in museum where we have artifacts and stratigraphy. First of all, location of the site. It's located on volcanic region, and volcanic region practically it's volcano which doesn't work now. It gave very good raw material, andesite, that blue one. It's volcanic raw material, andesite or gyalodacite, which could be used for production of flakes, blades, and other blanks for tools. Second, it is water, and on elevation, they lived on elevation around 120 meters with close to raw material, but between two hills, it's huge site, 100 meters, it was spring, and thought it's animals. Animals came to spring, so people had always raw material, water, and animals to hunt and get some food and skin for clothes, whatever. So, stratigraphy, it's long stratigraphy, loess and paleosoils, which is one follow other, which is divided in the period cold and warm period. Cold period it's loess, and warm period it is paleosoil. Usually we have artifacts inside of loess in cold period. Why? Because in this time people like to hunt on animals, big animals, mammals, deers. We don't have bones here, but in warm period when grass and trees grow, animals came out, and it was not comfortable. It's first. Second, we have this in this sequence different periods that Riswurm, so it's period warm and cold period, and we have paleosoils that are responsible that fix with these warm periods through the time. The first time people came here around 800,000. Okay, on this side, it was made special measurements. Earth made, Northern Pole sometimes made a reverse. Changed in reverse, and 2 times it was got samples, and it showed that it's for 2 times checking. There is that border between Matoyama Brunes inversion, and it shows us that it's the lowest level when people first time came in Korolevo, came earlier than 730,000 years ago. They used different raw material, not only volcanic. Here it's possible to see volcanic raw material. What they did, they produced choppers. It's earliest industries worldwide, usually connected with choppers. And we have samples of choppers, simple reduction and simple side scraper. Not many material, but we are talking only about in situ material. And we are sure it's made by human, by hands, with every feature that belong to reduction, to that pieces that reduced but human and produced tools. Second layer 6 in the stratigraphy dated around 500,000 years ago. And what is interesting, we don't have, that is usual for this period in Europe, in Africa, in the Near East, indexes. We don't have indexes. In this case, we have unique industry with very simple reduction strategy. They use mainly volcanic raw material, but they produce very good made side scrapers like tools, and use that side scrapers. So if you look on that side scrapers and not found in situ, you will never put it in lower Paleolithic. Unfortunately, we don't have indexes here, so it's different culture. And around 200,000, we have changes to middle Paleolithic. So we have very interesting industries. Instead of indexes, we have bifacial leaf-shaped points, so-called foliates. It's the people use different raw material to produce the same pieces with bifacial reduction to make some heads for spearheads, probably. And we have here that unique samples of earliest appearance of this technology in Korolevo site. And next level 5. It's again, before it was decided in literature that is lower Paleolithic, but technology, reduction strategy, tool types, and what kind of blends they produce have nothing to do with lower Paleolithic. In this industry level 5, people produce big flakes after that used for cores. Cores again reduce it to produce small flakes to make tools. At the same time, they produce end blades, like in Upper Paleolithic, burins and scrapers, and who made this industry, I don't know. Level 5A and level 5, it can be Neanderthal or maybe modern human. The next in sequence, what is interesting in this site, we have different cultures. People came many times, but with different culture. Level 3, it's a classical Levola centripetal or tortoise Levola, like turtle shape, and it's classical for Western Europe, for France. It was found in France first time Levola Perret, and why we have this name. After that, we have Levola point industry, which is more close to Near East. We don't know, I don't know. These people came from Near East exactly across the sea and other borders. But anyway, we have industry just look like Near East, so-called Tabun B. And they repeat to produce these Levola points again and again. And what is interesting in this Levola industry is tortoise or Levola point industry, that is they specially prepared core for end product. So in one case, they prepared core around by centripetal direction, reduction of direction, and produce one flake, and after that re-prepared. Next one, they prepared Y-shaped kind of negative on relief, core relief, and there is picture, if you can show later, the scheme how they produce. They use 3 blows to produce one triangle, very sharp point with special platform. So later, sorry, I forgot to tell that is this upper part, middle Paleolithic, Levola and other industries belong to the age between 90 and 40,000, so-called isotopic stage, stage 3. And for the same period, many different human groups came on the same place, and practically these industries or collections are very close in age, but they're different in culture. And we can divide by investigation of stone, reduction strategy, tools, technology, divide this in different culture. And what is interesting that is after Levola we have, or close to Levola at the same time, so two cultures which is called Mikakian and Charentian. Mikakian based on simple centripetal reduction. They don't use Levola technology and produce a lot of different side scrapers with heavily retouched side scrapers, bifacial reduction, but not like in level 5A, it's only thinning or just they used blank from two sides, and in many cases they have one sharp working edge to cut something, to work with leather, and another with thinning, bifacial thinning, to keep in hand or maybe to fix in some boot or bone. Next industry, it is Charentian, the same reduction centripetal, no levular, very little bifacial reduction, very small, but they use different side scrapers with very steep retouch, so-called steeped scaled retouch, that is, they put on one edge 2, 3, 4, 5 times blowings of retoucher and make special working edge with a specific so-called kina retouch. And mainly it's side scrapers, transversal, limaces, and it's absolutely fixed with French sides that first were determined like Charentian.
Vitalii, when we speak about the earliest stage of Korolevo, the earliest layers, exactly in Korolevo it's a pity, but we have no any organic remains. But maybe we can compare these earliest stages with some finds, classical finds in Europe or maybe in Asia. Can we have a technological comparison with any other sites?
This is...
We know about the finding of anthropological remains in Dmanisi, in Atapuerca, or we have no idea?
We have no idea. This is a problem. When we have bones, we are talking about bones, and we can compare bones found in one side to other sides, and if we found industry. But in this case, unfortunately, we have only rocks, and rocks can talk to us, but no bones, unfortunately. Anyway, it is a great site with stratigraphy, with sequence, and in some cases we can compare with other sites with the same age, but sometimes not, sometimes it's unique. But I think that is Olduvai or choppers, that is the main feature of Olduvai culture. It came from Africa first time, and through Near East, so we can compare to industries with this period, and probably Dmanisi, but Dmanisi much older than. But anyway, people that time produced practically the same kind of industry. It choppers, simple cores, simple tools, simple parallel reduction. But choppers usually it is tool type for this industry.
Okay, and you think that some stratigraphical level can be connected with the early Homo sapiens, early anatomical modern humans?
It is again it's difficult to tell. We don't have humans. We cannot talk about. I don't know who produced level 5 with scrapers and burins and early blade technology. It's before, so it is stage 6, isotopic stage 6 or marine stage 6, and it's before AM. So who brought that industry, who made it, could be sapiens or not. Again, level 5A is this practically Neolithic type of bifacial points, foliates, very good made, very thin at the end. Who produced Neanderthal or sapiens, I don't know. If you know now that is sapiens originate in Africa around 300,000, so it's possible, but without bones we cannot tell this. Sorry.
Okay, and exactly we have Neanderthal technology, yes? Maybe you can show on samples some technology features.
Not about only technology, we are talking about raw material and how people used this raw material. This sample from level 5, it's around 130, 150,000 years old, belong to early middle Paleolithic industry, but people use the same raw material beginning from the first time they came on the site, and the problem of raw material that mainly it's originated in huge blocks, 1 on 1 meter, 1 on 2 meters, and they have to work with these big blocks. It's volcanic raw material. It looks like obsidian, but it's not became glass. Anyway, it's very close, and it's the same origin from volcano. And they used, because of big blocks, they have to produce big flakes. This core looks like what people call now in archaeology discoidal, but I would call it centripetal with alternate reduction. It's my opinion, but they use the same reduction system for big cores and for small cores. We have a lot of repeatants that show this reduction with the size. The andesite have originally black color, matte black color, and after that patinated. Compared to flint, which can be patinated or not, depending on how its quick was covered by sediments, it could be not patinated. At the same time, on the ground long time under the sun can be patinated, and it's very difficult to tell from the flint patina the age. In this case, we can talk about different age based on kind of liquidation of this raw material, because on one side there is natural cortex with original, and after that we have different kind of patination and liquidation that is shown. So it is, there is a way how to determine the age.
And we can define some stages of eroding of this material.
Yes, we have different, for example, level 6 more destroying, level 7 and 6 more destroying than level 5, and sometimes we have a different pattern on the same piece of raw material or on the same core when people used more old cores or tools and reutilized. And we can see and old patina and more young patina, and youngest when it was used for reduction. So it is not for dating, but we can work with this, and we can determine that is in different stratigraphical units we have different kind of patina, and we can work with this and we can determine. So it is helps very much with dating. It's not C14, for example, but anyway it works very well.
Anyway, it's relative chronology.
Yes. That is
a table of relative chronology.
Gladilin, who discovered the site, he built system. We are working on this system, and we correct a little. We don't go now in deep details, but it is still working, and we can see difference, because very young material, andesite, when it's made in Holocene time, has no patina. It's practically black, and we can divide in technology. And so people produce big flakes from these big cores, and after that they used, for example, to make another core from this flake. They take a flake, cook it, and after that usually make so-called Kambava cores on flake when they reduce one big flake with double ventral surface. But at the same time they use flakes for different reduction, for Levallois, Centripetal, for convergence. Also it is just base for economic. And what is interesting, the people came different time to the same raw material, but they came and brought on the site different technological features and different culture, and use the same raw material absolutely different ways, including early transitional industry and early Paleolithic, and even proto-Ignatian site in Beregovo and Transcarpathian, where they use the same andesite, the same, but different ways. So in my opinion, raw material doesn't have any influence on technology. We just have a simple parallel technology in level 7 lower Paleolithic. We have choppers. We don't have choppers later, but parallel technology reduction system we can find in each industry. But we don't have Levallois in that time. We don't have handexes. Instead, we have in 5A, if you look carefully, they produce from andesite bifacial leaf-shaped points as well. So they didn't care about raw material. So they produce flakes, transform into cores. From cores, they produce, again, more small flakes. I will show to make a tool. I just show the big kind of side scraper when they used ventral side to put retouch and made some kind of side scraper to work with, with leather, with wood or whatever. So it's just because big core, I'm showing big tool. It's just to show how they use this raw material and for cores and for reduction and to produce blades. They used different other raw material as well. For example, from the same level 5, they produce blades from silicified sandstone with faceted platforms like in Levallois, and they do the same from andesite. But we are talking about Korolevo. We cannot stop only on lower Paleolithic.
Yes,
it's only two levels, and we have sequence and kind of evolution and different cultures that is show what kind of population, we don't know who, but we can give information about different industries, about different cultures and who came on territory, reduction strategies, tool types that appeared on our territory in different different times. And we can talk about many different things about primary flaking, about tools, about kind of tools, about relation to other industries. It's even without bones, we have many possibilities to open Paleolithic, Iceman, Paleolithic man, to talk about culture, history, what will maybe prehistory more, better to talk about prehistory, behavior, strategy of sites and kind of sites. Also, it gave a good material for investigation in Paleolithic and with different directions.
Vitaly, tell me please, what are the main technological features for the earliest sites of Central Europe, in this case for the Korolevo?
If we are talking about Korolevo, we are talking only about in situ material, what was found in one area. It's not so much, but anyway, we have some features of a reduction system, what people used in that time. And we have not really development reduction systems. It's usually simple unidirectional cores with single platform cores with one negative or the same simple platform, one blow-in, one flake reduced. At the same time, we have a kind of polyhedrons, which are common for lower Paleolithic sites, and it looks like made by nature, but later I will show the sample which can explain that is possible. In that time people used fire. It is a feature of convexity and some reduced sites could made by fire. They produce big, small flakes for tools. Unfortunately, in this industry, we don't have many tools. But in reduction strategy, we have this feature of reduction when it looks like it's like natural break, but it's repeated, and repeated not only in this level, in upper level, level 6. I will show later on samples how it could happen. At the same time, this raw material, andesite or galactosite, very destroyed, and probably some tools are missing because liquidation is like rust on the surface, and we just cannot see that retouch that left.
Okay, it's very interesting raw material. I see that it's very distracted by the natural processes. But what about another type of raw material? Do we have another samples of flaking, of reducing of cores?
Yes, we have other raw material, quartzite, or usually we call quartzite, but mainly it's silicified sandstone, which used for reduction as well, and it looks like more fresh. And if you will find on the surface, you will never determine this like lower Paleolithic. It's without any cracks, without any movements. But reductions, the same system. It's practically simple unidirectional reduction to produce simple flakes. At the same time, quartzite or kind of quartzite or quartz with quartz dots, pebbles from river pebbles used to produce choppers. It's a common kind of tool for lower Paleolithic sites for old Dovai. The problem is sometimes it's not very difficult to determine its tool or its core. It could be end tool and core. They can produce flakes for another tools at the same time use as a tool for cutting meat or whatever. This is very small amount of possibility what we can see used in that time for reduction, for production of blanks. So it is very reduced. Practically, it's simple unidirectional reduction, and some reduction may be connected with fire, with burning of material to produce again flakes for tools.
We saw the lowest horizons of Korolevo, but what was doing farther? What we can see nearby, about 500,000 with technology.
There is no big difference practically in technology and exploitation of raw material. They still produce simple flakes from unidirectional cores, from a flat platform in one direction. Sometimes it can be what we call orthogonal reduction, but practically it's a very rough reduction. We cannot see much centripetal cores or levallois. It doesn't exist here. At the same time, we still have kind of reduction which is connected to this kind of blowing or influence of fire. And we have this in level 6 and in level 7, and we made experiment. Of course, we are not specialists, but what we found that is when this raw material put in fire, and after that, sorry, 1 second, I have to find this piece, and after that, usually in fire, it just has cracks, straight cracks. But when we put in water, we immediately have this effect of concave, convex features that we can see in many cases in this kind of reduction. So it is a hypothesis, but we can believe that sometimes in these industries in 6 and 7, they used to use fire to produce flakes, not through the reduction, not through the usage of hammer, just using fire and water.
And we have a direct evidence of fire using
it's kind of experiment that repeat this. Of course, it should be more professional and many experiments, but what we found that is we have the same kind of fracture, and we have the same kind of concave convex surface, and it's repeated because in level 6 not so many real flakes with good platform. There are a lot of what we call chunk flakes with this kind of fracture.
When the first Middle Paleolithic technologies appeared, Vitalii, what kind of complex we have?
We have level 5A, which is dated around 200, 220,000. And what is interesting, we have not mass, but very good production of bifacial leaf-shaped points. And it is in secondary flaking in between tools. But in primary flaking, we have simple unidirectional radial cores. Unfortunately, it is not investigated yet in details, and we just can talk only about these beautiful bifacial leaf-shaped points, which makes this industry very nice. And there is big difference between 6 or 7 and this level, and it's practically, I don't know, maybe it was made by Neanderthal, but could be Sapiens, because the work very thin bifaces made with soft hammer, and so no difference between bifaces 200,000 years old and Neolithic or Neolithic time bifaces. So this is level 5.
And when we speak about the Middle Paleolithic technologies, which complexes we have at all in these frames? We have levallois, bifacial technology, vector, or something else?
In the beginning, the oldest one, what we can put in Middle Paleolithic, it's level 5. And in this level 5, we have very interesting production. They used flakes for cores, and they used different variants of reduction: parallel unidirectional, bidirectional, centripetal, so-called combeva. So they have more kinds, more variation of exploitation of raw material, and different cores with faceted platform preparation, with simple preparation. Usually they produce flakes and blades from two platforms, create platforms, sometimes faceted, and reduce one after another flakes from two platforms from the flat working surface. The same they produce on another raw material. They use andesite and they use quartzite. Sometimes it's unprepared cortical platform, but anyway they produce blanks from two platforms bidirectionally, and it's repeated. And to reconstruct this kind of reduction, we are using because core reduced and we don't know what happened before, and sometimes not easy to connect byproduct or flakes or tools with reduction system. So in this case we are using refitting, where we can reconstruct a sequence of this blade of flake production, so we can put back this product which they produce from this core. Sorry, it is it is wrong direction. But anyway, I can show these pieces, and we can reconstruct sequence of production, how they prepared platform, for example. First they prepared specially prepared platform, and after that from two platforms produce quite elongated pieces which later transformed in tools, and you can see this blade quite long, so they can produce blades. And blades usually associated with kind of development production. In this case, they used not very good raw material, I mean, because many cracks in the time of blowing. But anyway, they produce blades, still produce, and we can reconstruct sequence of this production, and we can see they try to produce more elongated blanks than more short, like in 6 and 7.
So we can say that the blades was the aim of the production, or not? For this?
In this case, it's part of technology. They produce end flakes and blades, but they can produce not one, two blades, sometimes, usually, occasionally you can find in other industries. They intentionally produce blades, created two platform cores, and they know technology. It is not upper Paleolithic system, but anyway, they can produce many blades, and sometimes they can they even used upper Paleolithic system. They reduce blades from narrow working surface core like in Gravatian, like in 30,000 years ago, and they made sometimes burins and scrapers on these blanks. In this case, we can see different technology, different reduction strategies. At the same time, we cannot see any evidence of Levallois production. So they use flat platform cores, they sometimes prepared faceted platforms for reduction, but they never prepared core for single end products like classical Levallois that I will show later.
And if we speak about classic Levallois in Korolevo, what we can see?
Okay,
the dating and technological features.
Okay, there is big gap between level 5, which is existed before AM, interglacial, and next industry with classical centripetal, usually it's called classical centripetal tortoise levelua, appeared in Korolevo around stage 5A 90,000 years ago, and it's absolutely incredible and classical for each, student. If you show this course, this preparation, they always repeat the same. They prepared main platform, after that carefully prepared in centripetal direction convexity, faceted platform for one blow, and obtain one flake. After that, technologically, it was stage of re-preparation, and they can repeat many times on the same core. And we can see with refitted flake on the core and core without flake, and other flakes which are made not only on andesite, on quartzite or silicified sandstone. So they use different raw material. At the same time, they repeat this technology step by step, rule by rule, follow the rule to produce this one flake, to obtain a flake. Usually, this flake can be, as people talk about this or believe in that, can be used without retouch. So it is called, other way, it's called end product. So it's a specially prepared end product. On the core, they, in mind, how it is, think about what shape they would like to have. They prepare this shape and obtain this flake, other word, desired product or end product. The next kind of levelua industry is different from centripetal because it's based on convergent reduction system. It is what we call levelua point industry, and I told before in other lecture that is very similar to Tabun B type of industry, where that levelua points called short broad-based points, convergent short broad-based points. They used and at Near East and here the same system, and there are reconstructions of this. Unfortunately, I cannot show now, but believe me, there are reconstructions. I have a picture. If it's would be okay, I can add pictures of black and white pictures with sequence. What happened? They first reduce one flake or blade, after that from two platforms which are located little lower the main platform, reduce two elongated blades or flakes like this, and after that from the Chapeau de Gendarme platform produce levelua point. And again after that they can repeat many times the same in the same sequence. Is dependent only from the thickness of raw material of plaquette or nodule how many times they can repeat, but technology always repeat the same way, and it's a kind of more development levelua point production, which is another step, but anyway, it's different culture. Yeah. And what is interesting in this case, if in level 5 blades is kind of end product, desired product without levelua, in this case, many blades, it is just waste product to prepare long surface to obtain triangle-shaped piece.
Very interesting that long blades, in this case, is a waste of production. So for what purpose they receive these tools, this final object, final product?
Difficult to tell, because in many cases these levelua points still unretouched. But some retouched, and it's a big question. But it is technology, it's culture, and it's repeated, and we have many of the levelua points broken and broken, so it is repeat all the time. And major part of these points without retouch. They use blades and flakes for tool side scrapers. But anyway, in this technology, blades, it's rule, it's a waste product. The other question, why they used waste product for tools. So, yeah. Anyway, technologically, it's absolutely waste product. Without blade, you cannot get elongated surface, and you cannot get lower point or repeat again and again technological process, and it's kind of rule technology, and this sequence repeated. Okay.
Do you have any traceology for such?
Not unfortunately, but there are some pieces made not on andesite, and it's possible. Welcome if someone will come and will check my traceology, we will be happy. There is possibility because there are pieces made on other raw material and very fresh, so it is possible.
Vitalii, are there any so-called transitional industries in transitional between Middle Paleolithic and Upper Paleolithic in Central Europe and in Korolevo?
If you are talking about transitional industries, we have kind of transitional industry at Korolevo site, which is located, named Korolevo 2, on 20 meters terrace, so it's practically close to Korolevo. It is the same area. And this kind of industry, transitional industry, dated to 38,000 years ago. And what is interesting in this industry, people came from different kind of reduction systems which are usually used in Middle Paleolithic. In Middle Paleolithic, as rule, we can find centripetal cores, levollois cores, centripetal, convergent four-point, bidirectional flake blade cores, so it is amount of reduction systems. In this case, people switched to produce only blades, and the reduction system based on exploitation, on preparation, first of all, crest. They first prepared reduced crested blade, and after that produced another blade, and this operation repeated many times. Second, in this industry, they mainly used bidirectional cores. What is difference between this white is transitional because they use faceted platforms and hard hammer, which is rare used in later time in early Upper Paleolithic or Aurignacian, Proto-Aurignacian, Gravettian. People mostly used soft hammer and not faceted platforms. In this case, we have reminiscent of kind of after levollois. Probably it is connected or derived from kind of levollois industry. Second, this kind of industry in Central Europe usually used to call silicon because together with blade production we have bifacial leaf-shaped points which produce soft hammer and belong to this industry. From the point of tools, they have and scrapers and burins, but tool kit not so developed, not so wide like in later industries, Upper Paleolithic or Proto-Aurignacians and there are no Beckett bladelets or Dufour bladelets or small tools on bladelets. But practically it is Upper Paleolithic, which is the half. It is Upper Paleolithic because only blade production from volumetric cores, from narrow working surface cores. From the other side, they still use hard hammer and faceted platform, which is more common for Middle Paleolithic. There are no other, and in toolkits they have some kind of side scrapers, and Upper Paleolithic toolkit not so developed. So it is transition from Middle Paleolithic to Upper Paleolithic, but practically from the point of primary flaking, it's Upper Paleolithic. If you will forget about hard hammer and faceted platforms.
What are another industries, another complexes in Mid-Paleolithic we have in Korolevo?
If you are talking about other Middle Paleolithic industries in Korolevo 1, we can tell about two other industries which have the same age with Levallois Point industry. So probably they came at the same time or after, but with not a big gap in between. So it is between 50,000 and 70,000. We have two another cultures. One it is Mikakian and another is Charentian. Difference in primary flaking, this industry based practically on the same or very close system of production, simple parallel and centripetal without Levallois reduction strategy. But in Mikakian, there are more bifacial production. They used bifacial technique to make kind of bifacial tools, but not leaf-shaped points. Usually it's planar convex, and they used a lot of bifacial reduction for thinning, and the tools sometimes very wide, and there are different in shapes, segmentoid, oval. So it is kind of what we call Mikakian with bifacial reduction, but without real bifacial leaf-shaped points, and practically without blades or orientation on blade production. Charentian, the same primary technology, primary reduction based on exploitation, simple Cambeва, centripetal, coarse rare parallels, coarse blades are rare, but in this case they used much less bifacial reduction. There are practically no bifacial thinning flakes. They more produce different kind of simple side scrapers. So after that, we don't have transitional industry on this hill, but we have early Upper Paleolithic, level 1A, which is old enough and located under the upper Paleosoil and age probably around 30,000. It's younger than Korolevo II transitional industry, and in this case they used the same system of crest preparation to produce long blades. At the same time, they didn't use faceting of platforms. They used soft hammer, and there are special term leaped platforms, very acute. At the same time, for rejuvenation, they used removing of so-called core tablets. So they remove crested blade, after that serious blade around the core. If core become flat, they reduce core tablet, create new crested blade, new crest, remove crested blade, and again produce series of blades, what we call volumetrically or around circle, and again removed core tablet and finished with volumetric core, usually cylindrical, sub-cylindrical, or pyramidal. So there is big difference in technology of preparation, platform preparation between Korolevo II level 2 transitional industry and level 1A.